some of the major findings of the India Today Cicero poll that we are bringing out on a day when elections have been announced in the national capital. Yes, the first big battle of 2015 will be fought in Delhi. Elections are on the 7th of February, counting is on the 10th of February. And it promises to be a close race, as the poll seems to suggest. The BJP, if elections are held today, poised to get in the 70-member assembly somewhere between 34 to 40 seats. The Aam Aadmi Party poised to get between 24 and 31 seats. The Congress being reduced to just 3 to 5 seats. That's the big finding of the India Today Cicero poll. Joining us now is Dhananjay Joshi of Cicero, and he is the person who has to stick his neck out and give those numbers. Javed Ansari, our National Affairs Editor. Manini Chatterjee, National Editor of The Telegraph here. Also joining me, Surjit Bhalla, economist and political pundit, as I would like to call him. Manisha Priyam joins me, senior academic and someone who's tracking Delhi very closely for us. Also joining us, Seshadri Chari of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He's a politician on the panel today, but he's wearing here on our panel the hat also of an analyst. And Shazia Ilmi, political activist who contested the last election on an Aam Aadmi Party ticket, is also with us. Appreciate, Shazia, you joining us. Okay, let's then turn to the next big numbers that are coming on this India Today Cicero poll on Delhi elections. We tried to find out, what do people think about the Modi Sarkar? 36% of Delhi said Modi government's performance is better than expected. 30% were of the view that the Modi government has performed as per expectation. Add the two, it comes to 66% who seem satisfied. Only 25% said they are not happy with Narendra Modi's government's performance. What do the voters think of the 49 days of the Aam Aadmi Party's rule last year? This is what our India Today Cicero poll findings reveal. 36% were of the view that Arvind Kejriwal performed better than expected. 35% were satisfied and believed that the AAP performed on expected lines. Add the two and it comes to again a very high 71%. Only 20% said that the Aam Aadmi Party's performance was poor. So clearly both Narendra Modi's government and the Aam Aadmi Party getting a high level of support. Make sense of this for us, Dhananjay. What does it mean? I like Mr. Modi's performance. I like the Aam Aadmi Party's performance. Is that what most of the respondents told you?
Well, yeah, and this is something that we also saw in our Lok Sabha polls. Modi for PM, Kejriwal for CM.
Did people actually say that? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
That's a slogan. Did people, when you went and surveyed, actually say Modi for PM, Kejriwal for CM?
Well, I don't have the exact figures with me, but I clearly remember that a large chunk of BJP voters had chosen Arvind Kejriwal for the CM and vice versa.
Even in this poll that you've done this time?
In the Lok Sabha poll.
In the Lok Sabha polls. But is that a sense, given these numbers, Surjit Bhalla, that we should be getting from it, that somewhere there are voters who are saying, we're very happy with Narendra Modi as our Prime Minister. We also have fond memories of Kejriwal as our Chief Minister, contrary to what you might have, but 70% seemed reasonably satisfied with Kejriwal. What does that suggest to you?
Well, the first thing I would ask, and this is something if the polls ask that question, what is it about Kejriwal's performance that they find satisfactory? Equivalently, what is it about Modi's performance that they find? Did you go a little bit deeper rather than yes, no, I find it satisfactory?
What is it about Kejriwal that was most attractive?
Well, Kejriwal, if you remember last poll, majority of the people said that corruption went down. Yeah. Majority of the
in this poll.
Well, the last poll, in this tracker poll, the first wave was in December. And when we did the December
corruption went down.
Corruption went down, prices came down. These are the things. People had a fond memory of Kejriwal. They were critical of the fact that they left the government in 49 days. They were critical of the fact that he probably had larger aspirations than being the CM. But at the same time, they were fond memories.
Let's get this clear.
So, okay.
Do you go along with that? Because most people believe Narendra Modi, on the other hand, when we ask the question, people believe Modi is providing strong leadership. Right. Under Modi's leadership, there seems, the country is energized. When we ask question on Swachh Bharat, people are supporting the entire campaign. Right. So Modi gets support and so does Kejriwal.
Yeah. And, I think this is fascinating.
Let's look at the corruption question, for example.
This is absolutely fascinating. And the reason I want to probe it just a bit further is because we had the Delhi election last December. We had the Lok Sabha election in May, in which AAP completely got creamed.
But the vote share increased, even in the Lok Sabha election.
Okay. So therefore, what is it? It was, if the vote share increased, it's the distance between 1 and 2 that matters.
Right.
Even here, the vote share might increase, but if the distance increases because the Congress is collapsing into oblivion, so therefore their vote share has to go to somebody. So therefore, I'm not so sure. All I'm asking for is, how do I reconcile that in March, April, May, that people were quite disgusted with AAP, and suddenly now we have fond memories of his performance.
Okay, let's get that clear. Manini, let's get an answer to that. Aam Aadmi Party in the Delhi elections, in the Lok Sabha, gets wiped out. The BJP was leading in 60 of the 70 assembly constituencies, wins all the 7 seats of Delhi. Now, as per Dhananjay Joshi and Cicero's poll, people are saying 70% are satisfied with Aam Aadmi Party's performance as Delhi Chief Minister. What does that mean? Are we saying they vote very differently for Delhi and very differently?
That's what's
They were voting for a central government.
Lok Sabha was a central government. There was a Modi wave which had been manufactured and it was real, organic, whatever. Whatever.
Now we are manufacturing an AAP wave.
There is no AAP wave. But my point is that just because AAP did badly in the Lok Sabha elections, and as Dhananjay says, they actually increased their vote percentage. They were voting, there were 7 MPs and AAP didn't stand a chance because you were voting for the central government. And the other thing is why Mr. Bhalla is, Professor Bhalla is so bewildered as to why people may have liked AAP. Because Delhi is not a monolithic city. I mean, there is a huge class divide, and people who thought of him as an anarchist, rightly or wrongly, those 49 days was too little to actually judge him. But a lot of people, your redi walas, your vendors, your auto rickshaw walas, they really feel that he was their man.
Let him settle this, because this argument has been going on for a year. That Surjit Bhalla lives in Panchil Park, where I also live. Hold on.
It's not about person. I'm saying all of us.
The class that we represent, a number of people increasingly see Arvind Kejriwal as anarchist and unreliable. But there is another large class who lives in jhopris, who lives in lower income groups, where our survey goes, who sees Kejriwal in very different light to the way you do.
So therefore, I come back to the question, what about those people who do not live in Panchil Park? Why did they overwhelmingly reject AAP in the national election? One second. Now if you come back with, the national election is very different than the local elections, right? What happened in Rajasthan? What happened in Madhya Pradesh? What happened in every state that elections have been held so far, that the national election has gone very close to the state election and vice versa.
Was Delhi different?
So therefore we've got to argue, Delhi is sui generis.
That's right.
Absolutely unique.
Is there something in that? Let's probe this point further. Do people look at a state election very different from a national election? Surjit Bhalla says, look at Rajasthan, look at Madhya Pradesh, same trend both in the general election and national, Maharashtra to an extent. But look at what is happening as per our survey in Delhi, where suddenly the AAP, which was demolished in the Lok Sabha elections, as per our survey, is making some kind of a comeback. How do you explain this?
See, the first caveat that I have is that when I go to the underclass Delhi, not the Panchil Park Delhi, I find that they refer to, the term used by them is Aap Wale. The term never is Kejriwal bada acha mukhyamantri tha. So I do think that the Aap campaign pitch is somewhat erroneous. Whoever said they are not on the media, they are all over on the radio, and I'm morning and I'm listening to my radio. It's Kejriwal who's giving bharosa and cloning therefore the BJP model. Now the second point about the difference between having voted this way and having voted this way, this city has been unusual in the last year or two for precisely the reasons that I said. For the first time, this city begins to assert on its own issues. That's a kind of struggle that most states do not have to do. For the first time, this city has been asserting about a Nirbhaya who comes from an underclass background. She doesn't come from the Panchil Park. The aspirational class that we talk about lives in Delhi largely.
And you're saying they identify with AAP. They're identifying with the kind of politics that AAP
they are identifying with issues. The BJP's issues on offer for the Lok Sabha were lowering of inflation and reduction of unemployment. That coupled with a massive amount of presence of Karyakartas, either of the RSS or even of the art of living, that made a lot of difference to the BJP campaign.
Why should it not happen? Why should it not happen this time? Seshadri Chari, if these numbers are right, and these are, that people are saying we are very satisfied with Narendra Modi's government, but they're also seeing a high level of satisfaction for Aam Aadmi Party. So even as per our survey, if the BJP is ahead, it's not sweeping Delhi as it did in the Lok Sabha elections.
Nor is the Aam Aadmi Party sweeping.
No, there is no AAP wave. There is no AAP wave, but there is no Modi wave. As per our survey, there is no Modi wave at the moment in Delhi. How do you explain this? Is it that the BJP has not reached the Jhuggi Jhopdis and the lower income groups who today have very different aspirations perhaps to the middle classes of Delhi? As per our survey.
Which they reached in the Lok Sabha.
No. Which they perhaps reached in the Lok Sabha, yes.
They reached them in the Lok Sabha. Suddenly now, they're not reaching them.
Yes.
No, it's a perception battle. Basically, it was a perception battle even then. It is going to be a perception battle even now.
Perception of what?
The perception about the BJP and the perception about Congress and AAP. So it's very easy to discuss the perception as far as the Congress is concerned. It appears to be a totally divided house. Even today, when the Congress High Command has suggested one name to lead the Congress party, the first statement that he has made is that I don't agree with Sheila Dikshit. So, I mean,
I'm asking you, what is the perception in your view of the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party? Let's be clear. What is the perception of AAP and what is the perception of BJP?
Now what happens is, I'm coming
what is the perception of BJP?
I am coming to that. So this transfer of perception about the Congress, as Dr. Balla said, has to go somewhere. It just doesn't disappear in the thin air. How much of it is going to go to AAP and how much of it is going to go to BJP is another question. Going by the same perception in the last time, a big chunk of this is likely to come to the BJP.
Is AAP seen, sir, as a pro-poor party? Is the BJP seen essentially as the party of the middle classes and an aspirational party? No, let's be clear. Is AAP seen as a pro-poor party in Delhi because it has large Jhuggi Jhopdi clusters?
No. Let me please complete.
Yes.
Let us talk on the basis of figures.
Yes.
Out of the seats that Aam Aadmi Party has won, where BJP is number 2, there are 6 seats which don't belong to the so-called quote-unquote the Jhuggi Jhopdi vote base. There are 2 which have gone to the Congress, where again there is no Jhuggi Jhopdi. It is higher middle class and slightly above middle class. It may not be the areas where you stay, probably. Yes. Okay.
I don't stay in such a posh area. Let's not make this about me. I am asking you a simple question.
Okay, my area, fine.
Yes.
So if you take these 2, 6 plus 2, 8.
Yes.
These 8 seats, where Aam Aadmi Party has won in 6 and Congress has won in 2, are not Jhuggi Jhopdi areas. Now this area, if you take even 10% of this seat comes to BJP, which means we are getting something like 6.
Which are these seats?
I can give you all that.
No, let me. I'm going to take a.
I'm doing that in
I didn't get an answer. I didn't get an answer. I wanted to take a. I was trying to get a television soundbite basically. Is it fair on my point to say that the Aam Aadmi Party today is the preferred party of lower income groups
unfortunately not.
And the poor,
Unfortunately
and the BJP,
not.
As you grow up in the income ladder, you are more attractive.
Unfortunately not.
Yes or no?
Unfortunately not.
I've got the little soundbite from my neighbor here who just said, Sangam Vihar. Now, it is the Dalit vote that went to the Aam Aadmi Party for the Vidhan Sabha, went for the BJP in the Lok Sabha, can go anyway, notwithstanding any promises.
Quick point.
Really, it's about middle class still.
Am I right in broadly saying, as you go up the income ladder, you're more likely to vote for the BJP?
Yes.
The lower order in the income order, which traditionally voted for the Congress, is now voting for AAP. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what the data shows.
But I've got one. Look, I'm trying to, as an analyst, look at what happened December, May, and now.
Yes.
And now, let's look at the middle class vote. So, Jhuggi Jhopdi, what you were saying is absolutely correct. The higher up you go per capita income, you have greater propensity to vote for the BJP. So, what has changed? So, I'm now speculating what has changed between May and now. And I think there is, whether you want to call it the RSS agenda, whether you want to call it Ghar Wapsi, whether you want to call it Sadhvi, I think that is influencing if you will, the middle chunk. It doesn't
Is
affect
it
the lower
just the fact that the lower income groups see in Arvind Kejriwal a better chief ministerial candidate,
but
because
why
the
did
BJP doesn't have anyone to combat them at the chief ministerial level?
No, that doesn't.
What we say? You were saying that why didn't they see it in May?
Yes.
Because he was not a credible prime ministerial candidate. Right. With 7 seats, you can't be prime minister of India.
Professor Bhalla has a point.
Yes. Look, all I'm trying to do.
He's saying it's not just a poor-rich divide, but even middle-class sections who had voted for the BJP on the development agenda may be having second thoughts over the aggressive Hindutva.
There is no evidence in our poll to suggest that. In fact, if anything, our poll is showing the middle classes are firmly at the moment, large sections behind the BJP. Yeah. What is equally true is that as you are going into the Jhuggi Jhopdis and in the lower middle class clusters, that is where it is the Aam Aadmi Party that is emerging as the stronger performer. Let's take a break. When we return, we look at the issues. Maybe when we measure the issues which people are voting for, it might give us a sense why are we getting this strange kind of verdict at the moment from our opinion poll. Back in a moment on Capital. On